you manage these conflicted requests and factors that are pulling in various competing directions? You know, how do you manage marketers of two different brands that are on different scales and that all believe they should be different?
Well, there are a couple of things I would say that play big role here. One of them being that you need to balance out, the need for individual brand autonomy while still having a centralized digital strategy. That's one thing, which has a couple of key points that I would like to go into. One of them being that you need to define your non-negotiables, right? So you need to establish which aspect of your strategy must be centralized, such as core platforms, compliance, data security, that is centralized across the board. Um, and to centralize, for example, your CRM, to create certain unified user experience and customer data layer, but leave the content strategy out of it, so the brands have enough choice and flexibility to cater for their own identity, right? Next thing I would say would be to provide flexible enough frameworks. And I say flexible enough because you cannot give them full flexibility. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart, right? You need to allow brands to operate within a set of guidelines that enable autonomy while adhering to broader organizational goals, usually aligned to the vision and mission of a company, right? And we try to do that by providing brands, for example, with a design system library, giving them certain creative freedom within consistent visual and functional boundaries. I call this freedom in a box because it's not full freedom, but it's also not completely centralized where we dictate everything, right? But as an organization, you have to have a certain level of consistency across the board, which is really important, especially for user experience. And that's why a design system, for example, helps a lot here while still catering to the brand identities, right? And the last part, which people don't like to hear very often, is you need to have a certain governance model in place, right? In my opinion, you need to create cross-brand communities and committees to resolve conflicts early on and align also on shared priorities, right? And you need to have these governance processes in place at scale. You can't let everybody do their own thing, for sure not, because they are part of a multi-brand and centralized framework. And this is the world we live in, right? It's not a single brand, a single company, and they do whatever they want, right?